Okay. To Thursday, July 22nd, Megan. And we are talking about the bipartisan commission that Nancy Pelosi is trying to put together to investigate the, the insurrection, the terrorist attack on the Capitol on January 6th. And Nancy Pelosi nixed a couple of the Republican nominees to the commission because they voted for overturning the election results and have clearly stated that what side of the issue that they're on. There's no possible way that they are unbiased in that process. And Jim Jordan, being who he is, would make the whole thing just a sideshow. And that's not what Nancy Pelosi is interested in. So instead of just saying, okay, I'll accept that you're rejecting those two and replace them with two other people, the House Minority Leader just said, nope, we'll just pull everybody back. And now it's your fault. You're not doing it bipartisan. Liz Cheney's happy to be on the commission. But so, when it comes time, everybody's talking about, this is shameful. And you just say, well, the whole thing's just disgusting all around. And this is why Americans are so sick of Congress. And here's the thing, Megan, you can't both sides this one. There was a vote in the Senate, and, Senator Schumer brought this up, to create an independent commission on the events of January 6th. 35 Republican senators voted against establishing that, and 11 just didn't show up to vote at all. Included in that 11 is your home state senator of Kristen Sinema, who didn't vote at all, which is just a cheap way of saying I would have voted no, but I didn't want it on my record. Why aren't you mad as hell at them for saying, hey, we should have done this right to begin with? That's where all of the blame of this lies. This isn't about trying to make something political. This is about trying to actually get an honest account of what happened that day. And you can't seem to admit that the reason that the Republicans don't want it is because some of them are involved. It seems very clear. They don't want this investigation to happen, which is not in line with what the American people want. And I hope this gets hammered home through the midterms. Any senator that's up for re-election and any of the representatives who don't want to look at what happened on January 6th. What I will say about Americans being tired of Congress, which there is a great deal of frustration, and then I'm sure a lot of apathy, because there isn't a lot that gets done. But the majority of the reason things don't get done is because of Republican obstructionism. So when the Democrats have control, in trying to play nice, don't ram things through because they don't want to look, too authoritarian. So we don't get much done. Then we lose in the midterms because we didn't get anything done. The Republicans come in, ram a whole bunch of shit that's terrible for the country through, super regressive shit. And then when the Democrats try to undo it, it's, and we're seen as non-bipartisan, and we can only take little steps to recover from the shit that was done by the Republicans. So it's just a constant regressiveness in our legislation that isn't helping anybody. And that's because the Republicans do things that screw over Americans. And then when the Democrats want to do something that helps, they say no. And because the Democrats don't want to do something that's useless, nothing gets done. I know in the past we've done, little baby steps, and but ask for the fucking moon, compromise to, well, we should just get the moon, really, honestly. But I guess that's not the case of in the hands of private citizens to get us to the moon. Bezos and Tesla and Virgin Man. Anyway, so that's super frustrating. There will be a commission. There will be an investigation. It's certainly happening through the courts right now. But it would be good to have on congressional record hearings and witnesses, including people like Lauren Boebert and Jim Jordan, and what's Mike Lee. Anyway, then we move on, and you try to pin Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer as anti-Semitic. I don't know where you thought you were going to get with that. And you argued with him about when he said the attacks against me are coming from the RNC. You said, well, the attacks, you weren't attacked by the by the Palestinian groups, and you mixed the whole thing up, and I think an attempt to try to throw him off his game. But I think he's been at this a lot longer than you have, Meghan, and can answer the question. And he didn't reach out singularly to that one guy. I'm not so worried about that as I am about his politics of the whole thing, which I'm also not entirely sure I agree with. But again, that is a huge, complicated issue that I don't fully understand everything about. I do know that it's very much like, the Israelis are the Republicans. They do something terrible, and then someone retaliates back, and then claim victim. So there's a marriage there between some sort of gaslighting process that's going on between the Israeli government and the Republican Party. Then we get to Kat Sadler, who got COVID even though she was vaccinated. And, this is where you show your complete ignorance. I was just walking around. I went to the casino because I thought I was fine, because you didn't pay fucking attention. Maybe you got too much of your information from Fox News. Maybe that's why you have been confused so much. You're not actually listening to the guests that you have on. You're too busy trying to catch them in, I don't know how many masks to wear questions. So, you got to work in vaccine hesitancy again today. That's 4 days in a row. So I wonder how we're going to do it tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know how it could be any clearer. The vaccine prevents you from getting, well, almost entirely prevents you from getting hospitalized or die. It never, ever said, no one ever said the vaccine prevents you from getting COVID. And if you remember, there at the very beginning, there was all sorts of studies and concern about you could still get it, be asymptomatic, and pass it on to somebody else. That's why mask mandates stayed on so long. I still think we should be having mask mandates. I don't know why we're getting rid of them. The thing hasn't gone away, and it's just getting worse. So again, so there's that. And of course, we end, I don't know, this has now become a promotional show for Andy Cohen, but he's got some show on that brings ex couples together to talk about why their relationships didn't work. And you, of course, say you would never want that that input, and especially not to be public, and that all of your relationships ended terribly, which is not a surprise. And I'm confident you wouldn't want that feedback, because God forbid you should do any kind of self-reflection and figure out that you were, in any way accountable for what went wrong. So on brand.